This is Bedman Burger. And you're watching
Eclectic Arts.
Love that stuff. Love it. Yeah, big fan.
Kind of sinking my teeth into the story of things.
You just need sitting and just
crying.
and sitting and crying. Oh, how we do it.
Alice, thank you again for connecting us.
And exactly, you hit the nail on the head. You attracts
I
like.
looked at some of your previous interviews and really exceptional. I'm happy to be a part of the legacy you're building with Eclectic Arts.
same.
I want to be in their presence, so I conduct my life in a way that I hope that they want to be in my presence as well.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this 7th of September, 2022. And as always, I have a few quick housekeeping details to get through before I get to tonight's interview. First, I'd like to thank Matilda Lindell and also Stephen Tannenbaum and Kristen Abate for joining me on this past Saturday over Labor Day weekend. Matilda was an amazing musician from Sweden, and I should be able to actually meet up with her in about 2 weeks in person because her band will be coming back. And then for those that were watching with Stephen and Kristen, who wonderful co-directors of a film called Straighten Up and Fly Right, we had some audio issues with Kristen, so I'm trying to get her back probably solo so that we can hear her and her part of that whole filmmaking journey that they're a part of. And if you'd like to know what I have coming up, because I do have a few other live streams coming up here in September, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first, and then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell, I appreciate that. You could also like this video too, that would be great. And if you're on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, I greatly appreciate that. If you would like to ask my guests a question in the chat, all you have to do is join one of those two platforms. So either subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Twitch, and you'll have pretty much instant access. Please be aware that I am the only one that sees the questions and comments that come in through the chat. My guests do not. And I will fold those into the interview as we go, as we have time. And we kind of go from there. And I need to change something really quick here. And I see, oh, hey, good to see you, Industrial Girl. It's a long time no see. Hopefully you're doing well. Gosh, you're down there in that hot ass weather, aren't you? but I hope that you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a bit, so I'm glad you could join us. And let's see. And I also want to thank a few people that made some PayPal donations, and true transparency. It's been a few months since I've received any kind of donation. This streaming platform costs me money to run every month. So any kind of donation goes straight to basically keeping me on the air virtually, and also into any kind of backdrops, anything else that I do. So that's greatly appreciated, but only if you're in a position to do so. So, all right, I am very, very excited to talk to my guest tonight. So let's kind of get to things. And again, if you want to ask a question in the chat, please feel free to do so, and I will fold those in as I can. My guest today is a premier talent in the adult industry. Her striking features and artistic sensibility have made her a fan favorite around the world. She has worked with many of the best companies, including Vixen, Digital Playground, Black, Hard X, Lesbian X, and many, many others. It is my great pleasure to welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Miss SKYE BLUE. Hi, SKYE. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So, and I just thought about it. You're down in kind of the LA area right now too?
Yes, I am. It has been sweltering.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Industrial Girl, who's in the chat's also down in East LA right now. So I'm like, yeah, I've been seeing it up on the news how about it's just been, even for you guys, it's been like beyond hot.
Oh yeah, no, I'm in the downtown area, so it's been really rough.
So are you somebody that, when it's not this hot, but do you like warm weather versus like colder weather? Or what kind of person are you?
I grew up in Florida, so I definitely do like warm weather, but I'm used to very humid and just not this intensely hot.
Okay, so you're used to hot with humidity, but not this just blazing, trying to burn you kind of hot.
Oh yeah, this is just wild.
Oh my gosh, I'm up here in Seattle, and we're having actually like nice. I think it's like, what's it say? It's like 72 degrees and sunny, and
Sounds amazing.
yeah, even by our standards, we had I think we tied the record for the most 90+ degree days this summer ever on record. So if we're getting heat, I can only imagine down where you guys are what it's like. So
I think just 2 days ago it was like 112 degrees. Wild.
That's like if for like for people that are born on the sun or something.
It was hotter than Las Vegas. I was like, Jesus Christ, I might as well be living out there.
Yeah, no kidding. And I see, industrial, you don't have AC. Oh no.
No, not. We've got units, but it's not central.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no. Well, hopefully it starts to cool down some so you can like enjoy the nice weather, not the freaking, trying to burn you alive weather. So, and I guess what I'd like to do is kind of just start with the present. Career-wise.
Oh, okay, sorry. Am I doing something wrong?
Okay, I think we're back.
Sorry, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I think that's on my end with my internet or something, because I've never seen that happen until right now. So
I was like, oh, all right, my internet does go in and out, but I was like, this seems like it's not me on this end.
Yeah, no, I think it's me. But so yeah, presently, career-wise, what are you working on, or what are you doing, or just taking a break, or where are we at?
Where I'm at right now, I actually just wrapped my first production day, which was absolutely amazing. I shot my very good friend Connie Perrion, who is a new rising talent, and we're going to pitch it to a couple places, but hopefully in the near future I will be working for companies under the production house.
Oh, that's exciting.
I'm really excited for it. Something that I loved ever since the beginning, when I got into all of this, was bringing a bit of like an artistic flair to everything. So I really want to like blend high fashion and pornography together as much as I can. And this is just the first step in doing so. Okay.
Yeah. I know in doing a little bit of research that with your modeling background, your interest in fashion, and then working in the adult world, it's kind of like, it seems like at some point, and you're already doing it, that you would be wanting to do your own productions and having your own ideas in your head of artistically how you would like to see this done.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of really nice to see it come to fruition. I thought it would happen when I was like 35, 40. So for it to be happening at 26, I'm like, wow, this is great.
Well, that's amazing. So I'm curious, being an artistic person myself, what for this production, depending on what you can say or give away, how did you know how did you want to attack this, artistically? What were you trying to look for? What did you want to get out of it?
So for me, it was always the way that women are shot. And I understand that like a lot of porn is used to the very old style of very boudoir, very like harsh light. And I wanted this to, right off the bat, have a totally different kind of lighting setup. I wanted it to be more about the person and what they wanted, and then blend in my knowledge of light from my many years of modeling and studying underneath fashion photographers to bring in like high professional studio equipment and really rock out that way.
Okay, well this is getting me really intrigued. It's great that you can take something from your artistic past and, like you said, studying with fashion photographers and one that you've been around through your own experiences, and like, I want to now take this and put it over here and see something that maybe I haven't quite seen yet. And plus, it'll have your own flair to it as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's going to turn out stunning. I'm really excited to submit it to the place I am. So hopefully everything goes well.
Okay. And so when you're, maybe for people that are watching this, if they're not familiar, when you're talking about it as a production house and designing everything, were you also, was this from like, you know, what the sets were like to what the wardrobe was while the wardrobe's on, you know, or what?
Literally every single detail was like thought through, planned by me, funded by me. So I'm bringing in, I brought in my assistant from New York, who is a commercial photographer. And then with my background as in fashion, I was like, it can't go wrong.
Yeah, no, I see somebody's talking about that porn is way more complicated than I thought. So, yeah, well, if you want it to look a certain way and stand out, absolutely it is. And it sounds, again, sounds like we have something coming down the pike that's going to be probably like something we haven't seen before. That's interesting that, and forgive me, I kind of have a random mind, so a lot of times when I do these interviews, something will just pop into my head. Do you foresee yourself, let's say this is a success, which it probably will be, and that you can start doing more and more productions. Is it going to be something where you want to basically, is it the ultimate goal to have your own production house and you're doing everything and calling the shots and doing what you want, or do you still like to collaborate, or maybe a mix of both?
I think a mix of both, but ultimately I do think that there needs to be a power shift in the younger generation kind of being in control of what they want to see, rather than just sticking with the status quo of like, well, it sells, so let's do it. And with me calling the shots and stuff like that, I also want it to be very collaborative, especially with the people, like the talent that's coming in. So if they want something specific, I'm trying to like coordinate with them to make everyone happy.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of, I think you probably had a lot of thoughts in your head for a while. Is that kind of correct?
Definitely.
It reminds me a little bit of, I've had the pleasure of talking to and interviewing quite a few filmmakers, and I don't know anything about filmmaking. I just like to watch films. And it keeps thinking though, like at some point I want to take that knowledge and maybe try to do something myself. So it's like, but I'm like stockpiling like all these ideas in my head, and eventually they'll come out. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I said, okay, yeah. So again, folks in the chat, if you have questions, put them in, put them in now, and I'll fold them in as we go with Sky. That kind of.
Oh no. Right, just wait.
Okay, we're back. Oh my God. I apologize. I mean, I don't know what's going on today. And I always check my speed tests and everything before I run live, but anyway. So I guess if it happens again, it'll happen again. But so do you have a certain type of okay, there we go. So do you have a certain type of film that you like to shoot then? So do you like to do features versus gonzo or that type of thing, or you like all of it, or?
Oh, myself personally, I mean, gonzos are nice because it's a quick, easy day. But in terms of like visually speaking, I love features. I think they're so much fun, and it really takes time to craft something that you're proud of. So I definitely think that takes a lot into accounting.
Okay, and when you like doing features, do you like the acting part of it as well?
Oh, the acting part is so much fun. I get to have like a little baby Hollywood moment where I'm like, ooh, I feel like an actual actor, not just an erotic actor. It's fun. I love being sent scripts, auditioning for different roles, kind of like seeing what I like the most, what fits well. It's all just like so much more interesting than the very like cut and dry pornos that we're used to.
Okay, and that makes sense. And somebody's asking about who would you like to work with, performer-wise?
I've worked with so many people. I think at this point, probably Owen Gray, since that was like who I watched growing up.
Okay, so industrial girl, there's your answer. And I see another question came in. When acting applied to your films, do you ever write your own scripts?
Ooh, yeah. So I don't often get to write my own scripts, but there are a couple companies that are now taking more of a interest in what the girls want to do. So for like my recent one of Cherry Pimps, I art directed that. There really wasn't too much talking, so I couldn't do a lot there. But Sex Like Real has just reached out to me to art direct as well, and this time I'll be able to write my own script. So it's fun seeing more and more people start to ask the talent to do so.
Yeah, then it becomes, I mean, truly collaborative then.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, so this is really, so one of the reasons I love talking to people in the adult industry, because I think there's so many misconceptions about it, and I think even people who say they don't watch it, which there's only like 2 of them, that I think people just don't really know. So I've had the pleasure of talking to, I think maybe 5 or 6 folks in the adult industry right now. Yeah, and one thing that, and I cover TV, film, music of all kinds, musicals, theater, all kinds of different things. I'm kind of curious. One person that I'd interviewed that I talked to had mentioned that they had a no list of performers, and something didn't work quite right for them during a scene. So like, in the future, I'm not going to work with that person. And yet another person said they've had that experience, but then they're trying to figure out ways to like try to solve it. And here's an example. One of the performers said that their co-star smelled like they just came from the gym, and it's like. So she's like, yeah, I don't think I want to work with them again. The other person had said, I've had that experience. And what they did is that their agent told them, well, here's a little trick. Tell all the performers that you're going to work with that you have a favorite scented soap that you love to work with, have them do. And they'll do it beforehand so they don't feel like they're being singled out.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had that experience in the past where it's like, something wasn't quite working for whatever reason? And then how did you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some days where like you just absolutely don't get along with the other talent on set, and that's fine. Some people just don't mesh well, or maybe you just don't like having sex with them. Who knows? So yeah, I've definitely have like a no list, but I also have an absolutely definitely yes list. But for the most part, I do the like third time's a charm type of thing. I'll work with somebody 3 times, and if on the 3rd one I'm still like, this just isn't feeling right, I'll put them on the no list.
Okay, all right, and that sounds like a real professional way to approach it. It's like, hey, can you give me another shot? Give me another shot, and okay, 3rd time, you're out of here. Well, also I would think that now. Tell me, like, roughly, how many years have you been in the industry?
So I've been in sex work for, 8 years now. And I started mainstream porn about 3 years ago. Okay.
So I would think with someone who has your resume, you can kind of also decide that, you know what, I don't want to work with you. And not from an egotistical standpoint, just from like, hey, be professional. And if you're not, I'm going to get somebody else in here who can be.
Exactly. Yeah. And new talent always comes in and out. So, I mean, it's not like we're short of people to work with. I mean, I've been doing content creation for 8 years. So like, it's always coming in and out. And yeah, if you just don't mesh with somebody, you shouldn't force it either, because it never looks good on film. It just doesn't translate well. Oh no, not again.
Okay, we're this is so annoying. I'm so sorry. But I heard the last part of what you were saying with if you're not meshing with people. I think that's and you would definitely know from being a model that if you're even asked just as a solo model in a fashion shoot, if you're not comfortable with what you're doing, it's going to show in the shots, and it's like, why even bother trying to do it?
Definitely.
Yeah, I know that aspect for sure. And actually, somebody was asking about, would you ever like to release a photo book one day?
Oh, I would love to. I've been in a lot of photo books, but it would be so fantastic to create my own. There's something different about like a model turned photographer. I've seen a lot of girls go through that transformation, and there's just something a little bit more magical about the photos that I just absolutely love, because they, one, understand their body and how it works, and then two, understand all of the lighting and the technicality of everything. So it just like, it's almost like a heightened sense of photography.
I agree 100%. I worked with models for about 10 years as a photographer, and one of the best things that ever happened to me, and anyone out there is watching this, if you're a photographer, a budding photographer, whatever, get yourself in front of the camera. And trust me, that was like the last thing I ever wanted to do. But one of my good model friends was like, for my anniversary of my work date, she was like, Mark, how about I get behind the camera and you get in front of it for once? And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And she just kind of twisted my arm, and we were out there for like maybe an hour. I'm in the water, on the sand, you know, doing all those kind of poses, making the faces. And it was one of the best learning experiences for me, about like how tough that is, and how to make it, like you said, getting to know your body, what angles look right. Because when you're like doing it, you're not really sure until you start doing it enough. And then you start giving me direction and making me feel bad. But no, I think you're right, because some of the models that I work with that were full-time, they have now become very, very successful photographers because they marry both worlds. Wow, that sounds amazing. And I see somebody was asking, Izzy, you're asking about what is a typical day like, not specifically the sex part, just in general. So just kind of a typical day for SKYE BLUE.
Ooh, it would be wake up, go through emails, coffee, more emails, and then start planning throughout content, whether it's a shoot that day or planning my next shoot. That's normally the full morning. The rest of the day is leisurely and nice. It really depends, because if I'm on a shoot, that could be 3 hours. It could be 18. Who knows? Okay.
And are you a morning person?
Definitely now. Yeah. 2 years ago, oh my God, you couldn't wake me up. Like you couldn't get a hold of me past 2 p.m. Or before 2 p.m. Now I'm waking up at like 7 a.m., which I absolutely love.
Okay. That's interesting how things change. I am not a morning person, but again, when I was working with models, sometimes if you want that golden hour, especially like in summertime, you got to get your ass out there early.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think about that one of the models I worked with, her mom of all people said, who's getting my daughter up at such an early time? Because I guess she would never get up until like 1 p.m. kind of a thing. And so they invited me over to their house for dinner because mom wanted to meet me. So I can't even get my own daughter up early. I want to meet this guy who's getting her up early.
I love that.
Yeah, and she was super sweet and made this fantastic Persian spread of food and everything. Yeah, it was wonderful. I'm still in contact with her. Yeah, it was awesome. And let's see, another question came in. Oh, when are you going to cut your hair short again?
Oh, I'm not certain. I think if I ever decide to retire fully from like being in front of the camera, I'll probably do that again. But at the moment, there was just something about my hair that didn't translate all too well in porn, whether it be from the makeup artist, hair artist, not knowing how to style short hair, to the photographers going, oh, I don't know what's going on here, to just the fan base in general. It's one of those things where it's a very distinguished certain look and it has different characteristics to it. Like it's very high fashion having the pixie. So it was either a hit or a miss with people, and the fans had been asking me to have my hair long for years. So it's done me well so far, being the girl next door again.
Okay, and I see the same person's asking about, in terms of, you're talking about your typical morning with emails and getting yourself together. Asking, is that how you typically receive jobs? Is it through email, or are you getting things through your phone, or both?
Yeah, definitely. Whether it's through my agent or emails, that it's normally I have to be on my phone for at least some chunk of the morning to respond to text, email, something like that.
Okay, cool. And I see that same person saying, sorry, just a fan of short hair. That's why they asked the question.
Oh, I get it. Hey, I loved it. It was so much easier. Are you kidding me?
And this actually brings up a good point. If you're okay with this, what I'd like to do is I went through like your Twitter. I know some of these came from your Twitter. One of these may have come from your Instagram of pictures. And what I want to do is actually put it on screen. And then you can just kind of talk about either like what your look was or what was going on. This was 2 years ago and this is where I was in my life or whatever. So I'll put this up just for if I did this right. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. So long ago. God, that must be 6 years old. I started in modeling as a little alternative model, and the blue hair was one of the original, what they call now e-girls, where I was like one of the first ones to have a private Snapchat and all of that. It was a fun time.
Okay, cool. And let's go with this one.
Mm-hmm. Super around that time as well. I think that's from private Snapchat. Oh, actually, that's a couple, I think that was the month I decided to change my hair. Playboy had reached out to me and was like, we just can't do blue. And that's what got me into mainstream.
Okay, so you went from blue to mainstream, and then we were just talking about this.
Yeah, the short hair. Miss that. It was so cute. I got that my hair cut short about 4 years ago, right before I left for a Europe trip for a year. Oh my God, it was so easy to take care of.
Well, I know just without having any hair, how nice it can be. You don't have, bedhead. You don't have to worry about wind, rain. Mm-hmm. It's just, yeah. I haven't owned a hair dryer for years. All kinds of things, and you just kind of mentioned that you at one point you're on a European trip for a year. So you're working for a year over in Europe.
Yeah, I was actually working on a coffee table book with one of my exes. What was it? It's just basically me naked in front of a bunch of monuments. But it took a year to do so, and it was a fantastic trip.
Okay, and that kind of brings up a question. Are there any differences between shooting porn in America versus shooting porn in Europe?
Oh, definitely. So I shot a lot of porn while I was out there in Prague and Budapest. And it was just strange. So like over there, everything's just like way more laissez-faire. Not as picky. Like it also, I'm assuming, and maybe it's just because of like the price difference, like they were able to hire like a chef to be on set all day, like had a lot more money to do fun things. So like I worked with sex art over there, and they had me in a hot air balloon. They had a string quartet playing in the background of one, where over here, like I think it's just so expensive to even get one production done that like the house in Malibu pretty much is the whole production. Oh, no, not again.
Are we back?
Right.
I'm sorry, you were saying they had a chef on set. They had like a lot of other things at their disposal.
Yeah. A lot more money at their disposal. I was in a hot air balloon. They had a string quartet playing in the background of one. And then over here, I feel like the whole production budget is kind of just spent on one house in Malibu, because like it costs so much out here. Wow,
that's incredible. So I guess another question for me is that when you shot over in Europe, is there any difficulties when it comes to working with other talent? I mean, most of them speak English, or is it kind of like you don't need to speak, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah, sometimes it was very, very awkward, especially in Prague, because some of them didn't speak English at all. So you kind of really have to heavily rely on body language. Not my best experience on set with talent, not being able to speak to them. It's also really tough with like a producer or director as well. If they don't speak perfect English, like broken English, you're like getting every other word, and you're like, oh, I need to go this way. Oh no, now it's it's really hard to understand. But somehow at the end of the day, it all makes sense and we get it done. So.
Okay, well, there's that professionalism again. It's kind of like, hey, we'll figure out how to get this done, and then we'll be on our way. And I'm kind of curious, and we'll kind of get to that. I see some other people are asking some more questions, but over your course of your career, are there any, like, say, 2 or 3 scenes that really stand out in your mind? Like those are, if I had to put those in a vault somewhere to kind of capsulize my career work so far, which 2 or 3 do you come to mind?
The Affairs of Lydia, that was done through Lust Cinemas, directed by Bruce LaBruce. That was a beautiful film. Bruce LaBruce is iconic in his own sense of, this was like the first straight film he ever made. He's primarily known for creating gay films. And that was so much fun. It was 12 days in Montreal, and the script was intense. The way it was shot was intense. It's just a phenomenal film. Next one would definitely be one of my Vixen sets, particularly the one that I did abroad in Greece with them. It's just stunning. It's from back when Greg Lansky was still with them, and the production budget was just insane. So the views are stunning. The camera equipment that was used was actual cinematography. I can't speak today. Very, very amazing cameras. Super expensive. What else? Probably A Taste of Kunst, also done by Erica Lust. If you haven't seen her stuff at all, she's really good. She's on the same path that I am of wanting to create like really beautiful things within pornography. So it kind of feels like you're watching a movie and then sex just happens. We don't cut away from the sex. Okay,
no, that sounds great. I'll have to do some research after this is done. And somebody was asking earlier about was it tough getting an agent when you were starting out?
No, not really. I actually started through an agent. He was an independent agent, so like I was able to book my own work, and then he also booked me work. And he just reached out to me on Twitter, I think it was, because I was like asking producers or just, tweeting about like, hey, I'm in town working for this, like book me if you want to. He was like, hey, I can get you a lot more work. Would you like to work with me? I was like, yeah, of course. And then when I decided to leave him and choose a traditional agency, basically all it was just going around and asking people for meetings and figuring out which one felt the best to me.
Okay, so that's interesting. That it sounds like you may have been kind of in a position to kind of pick basically who you wanted to associate with.
Yeah, basically. I mean, at this point, I was probably 6 months into my career, and I was lucky enough to start with Blacked and Vixen as the films that I did first, and that kind of put me at like a different level than the traditional porn star way of going, since I was in such high quality films right off the bat. So yeah, I went through the ringer of like Spiegler and all of the bigger porn agents, and was like, okay, I like this one, let's go there.
Well, that's really awesome that you're in that position, that you could find the one that was a good fit for you, regardless of who they are, what their reputation is. It's like, look, I'm getting a bad vibe from you, or just maybe just not even a bad vibe, just not the right vibe for me. Yeah. So that's amazing. And I see someone's asking, what's dating like for you?
Rough. You either get people that fetishize you based off of your job, or people that say that they're okay with the job that you're doing, and then later on realize like, ooh, I might have a couple hangups that I didn't realize were going to be hangups, and then it becomes an issue. Some people really find a person that can work it out. A lot of people date in the industry though, because it's really hard to understand the mindset unless you're like really in it.
Okay, well, no, that I think that's a really a fair statement based on what you just said. And so again, some of the other guests I've had a chance to talk to, they're kind of like, I tried what they called civilians, dating
Yeah.
civilians, and sometimes it worked out well for a while, and then at some point they kind of took a turn. It's like when I maybe got more serious, and they're like, I can't have you doing that kind of work anymore. It's like, well, you knew this is what I did, and I still love doing it, so I'm not going to change this for you.
Yeah. I find a lot of people are now dating more like open people, like people in the like kink community where they have like open relationships or polyamorous relationships. I just depends on the person. I myself, like crazily enough, I'm like more of a monogamous person, even though I chose this as work. So it gets a little tricky dating there.
Okay, well, and Izzy, there's your answer for for your question. Thank you for your question. One thing I've always tried to be open about with all of the interview guests that I talked about in all different areas is about I don't like it when people have misconceptions about things, and especially if they haven't had a chance to, like, let's say someone's watching this right now and they're used to watching my music interviews or something, like, who's Mark talking to? And then they find out and they're like, oh, and then they got some sort of hang up about it. It's like, well, did you watch any of the interview? Did you listen to what the guest had to say? And then did you formulate your opinion off of that, or something you already had in your head? And I'm kind of curious for yourself, having been in the industry for at least for 3 years plus, making content for longer. How do you view like sex positivity? Because I think it's such a huge thing that needs to be kind of talked about even more so. Yeah,
I view it more so as it's a basic part of life. We all have sex. We do it to recreate. Is it empowering? It can be. Sex work. It can be very empowering to some. It can also be used as a survival strategy. It really is just, as I view it, a job like any other. I can have really great days and I can have really bad days where I don't get along with my coworkers. It's just another thing, another cog in the machine.
Okay, well, and I think somewhere I read where someone was saying that to them, working in the adult industry is that it's no different than anybody else other than we're getting filmed.
Yeah, basically. You're just having a more private side of most people's lives filmed. And really, if the person themselves is comfortable with doing that, then there really shouldn't be an issue with it at all. I know there are some hangups like, oh, it's exploitative, oh, it's addictive, and it's like, a lot of things are. Hollywood can be very exploitative. Me, myself, as a model, when I was growing up, I got asked to give my agent more hand jobs than my current agent, which has been zero. She is a woman, but that's never happened. So, not just that, is it addictive? Diet Coke is the most addictive thing in the planet. Apparently, the porn addiction is saying, or was categorized as, if you masturbate like more than once a day to porn, you're addicted. And what was it? 60% of Americans have more than one Coke a day. So it's like, so many aspects of it are just like anything else. And I don't think you can pin it on just like the agency being bad or the work itself being bad.
Oh, that's really good, a good analogy. Because I think about like how many people drink a cup of coffee in the morning, or a cup of coffee, or they're going through Starbucks every day, and then in the afternoon they go get another one. It's like, you have to kind of look at someone's behavior and realize we all kind of have certain things that we do all the time. And again, folks, if you have any kind of questions that I feel are appropriate, please ask them in the chat. You can do so by subscribing to the YouTube channel or following me on Twitch. And Sky, I had some, if you're up for it, I had some general questions that I've asked all kinds of guests. So they're kind of just random things. They're not specific to your industry or anything like that. And just kind of curious to see what you have to say to that. And the first one, if I can get this working, what do you do for self-care?
Ooh, I booked a lot of massages. Bubble baths, treating myself to a really nice dinner, and then of course like staying at home, like staying in for a night and just like binge watching like any kind of show, whether it be anime, reality TV, who knows.
Okay. I know what's great about what you just said. Well, actually, quite a few of those things are great. When you talked about binge watching, I view that as self-care when it's something like I just want to just kind of veg out and let something run. One of my previous guests in the adult industry was talking about she loves watching like Naked and Afraid and shows like that. And I know what she was talking about because I've seen many seasons of that show. So like, there's nothing wrong with that. And let's kind of go to this next question. What's one of your pet peeves?
Ooh, I think loud chewers. It really freaks me out when like people chew with their mouth open, or you can just hear them
Just chomping away. Does that include like gum chewers?
It depends, I suppose. If they're really obnoxious with it, then probably.
Okay. Well, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but what's one of the biggest misconceptions about your industry?
I guess it would be the exploitative nature of it all, and just it being generally viewed as bad. I don't think there's anything. I mean, I don't know. There's good and bads to it, but does that make the whole of it bad? Like, no, not at all.
Right. Okay. And thank you, Industrial Girl. Good seeing you again. Thanks for stopping by. I see that you got to take off. And okay, would you rather lose all your memories or never be able to make new ones?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one. I think never be able to make new ones. I think who I am today as a person is based off a lot of memories. I would hate to lose that.
Okay. You know, I like that answer. I like that a lot. And what's something that you've never been able to do well?
Trying to think here. Mathematics. I had to take statistics like 3 times in college just to get all my math credits in.
Well, I can relate to that because I had to do, I think it was like trig twice in high school, because I got to a certain level of math where like I was doing okay, and then it just became like, what the hell is this? I don't understand it.
Yeah, it was when we got into like geometry and all of the crazy things where I was like, ooh, you lost me here.
I was in the same boat because they put me in like advanced 7th grade math, general math, whatever that was. And then we went to algebra, which was kind of tough. And then I got to geometry and I was like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about, or don't make me come in front of the class and solve this problem. Oh my gosh. If I were to summon you via black magic, what 5 items would I need to conjure you in the 5 corners of the pentagram?
Oof, okay. I would say a jewel, some form of a manga, a plushie, probably bleach, like hair bleach or dye, and a cell phone charm.
Okay, that's awesome, and it kind of segues into a question that was asked a little bit earlier about what is your current anime obsession?
Ooh, I'm rewatching Castlevania right now, but what was it? I'm not sure if I have an obsession at the moment. I'm just really waiting for Chainsaw Man to come out, so I'm not really watching anything in the moment until that comes.
So help me out. Since you have an interest in anime and manga, did you ever cosplay?
I used to a lot when I was younger. It just became like way too much of a timely thing nowadays, and just very costly because I loved like really getting things right, and I was like, oof, I'm spending so much money on like very, very accurate pieces. And for what? Like I have so many cosplays that aren't even finished and just waiting there. I just don't have the time anymore to do it.
Okay, I worked with quite a few college students that were all video game people and cosplayers, Twitch streaming, all that stuff. And so it's interesting, kind of when they were either one of them, especially for Halloween, they'd be wearing their stuff that they came up with, and then they'd show me all the pictures of like how long it took them and all the little details, and that's a heck of a lot of work. And then some of them look stunning when they're done. So, and let's see. So what are the odds that we can watch JoJo's together? Someone's asking.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That's a good one. I keep being told that I should get on Twitch, and I'm like, it would be nice for a watch party. It's just right now it's that very delicate fine line for a creator of how much of your life do you put online.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. And because as you already know, everyone pulls from, even if it's like the person with the nicest intentions, just want to say hi or want to be supportive or whatever, they're trying to they're kind of pulling up your energy from you. And if you keep having tens, hundreds, thousands of people doing that, then you're kind of like, what's my life? You can't even see straight after a while. So no, I think it's real smart that you're kind of keeping your boundaries at a certain place. I'm like, I'll put some content out there, but I'm not going to go all the way yet, or maybe when it feels right and I pull back from one area, I can do a Twitch stream or whatever. So, okay. I'm kind of curious. You've got this tattoo on the palm of your hand.
Oh, yeah.
or both of them. What's going on there?
I got these done at 18. So they've held up pretty well for 8 years. My whole idea behind it was, and this is like pure 18-year-old logic, of course. Oh, if I ever go and get a real job, if I go to shake their hand, they'll never see it. Which is, I mean, it is true nowadays. Most people don't even realize I have them until like the third time of meeting me.
Wow, that's interesting. Because I saw it a couple of times during this interview. I'm like, what's that? But no,
most people think it's like henna or something too. I'm like, no, I just had a really high pain tolerance at 18.
I was just going to ask you, how was that? Because I have some ink on me, and depending on where it is on the body, some of it's okay, and some of it, it can be a freaking nightmare to get.
It's the second most painful spot on the body. The first one being the bottom of your feet.
Okay. Now, you don't have anything on the bottom of your feet, do you?
No, I don't. So I only know the palms.
Okay. And then you have a couple other pieces on you that I remember. Rib?
Yeah, I have my rib cage and then my ankle.
Okay. Any plans for something new?
Again, that's probably going to be once I like stop being in front of the camera and more behind. I find in the adult industry, either you have to be super heavily tattooed or really minimalistically tattooed to do well.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense to me, because it seems like the people that are in the middle of it, it's kind of like there's almost like you could see that person on the street kind of a thing. So like if you don't have tattoos, you're kind of like a unicorn. And if you're heavily tattooed, then you're like the alternative, type of performer. Okay. I have dozens of tattoos and I'm terrified of the palm.
Yeah, the tattoo artist at the time was like, are you serious? Like, I had one pinpoint and it was the worst pain I've ever felt. And I was like, oh yeah, it's fine. I got this.
Oh my gosh. And I'm kind of curious too, like with all the scenes that you shot over the years, are there any types of things that either you don't want to do again, or that you just, I don't ever want to do it, period? Like it's like something that hasn't been checked off your list, or what? I'm not cool with that area.
Something I probably don't want to do again is incestual porn. I understand it and I get why it's a thing. What people type in and what's trending is what we shoot a lot of. But for me, it's just, I can't get over that hump in my head where I'm just like, I have to say like mommy or daddy as I'm like fucking someone. It's just, I can't do it. And then something I know I just won't do. I don't know. I don't think I've hit that boundary yet. I want to say it's anal, but because I'm just not that type of girl. But at the end of the day, who knows? Tastes change all the time, so it's hard to say what I'll like in like 5 or 10 years.
Okay, I'm sorry. It looks like we just cut out again, and I just came back in. But yeah, you're saying with ancestral porn that you just can't get past that hump of saying mommy or daddy and that kind of thing. And
yeah,
yeah,
it's just not fun. I had one set that broke me. It was for the site called Mommy's Girl, and the woman had given birth like quite recently. She was still lactating, and I was just like, in these scenes, I think you have to call them mommy 3 times, and I was just like, this is it. She's squirting breast milk on me, and I can't handle this.
Oh my gosh. And for people that are watching this that don't know what we're talking about role play, obviously. We're not talking about, actual ancestral things happening, but it's the whole idea of setting it up that way. Like we're talking, daughter, mother, dad, stepdad, daughter, that kind of thing. So just letting people know, just to make sure you don't start sending me a bunch of freaking messages and comments about stuff. That was so crazy. I saw this one music video, and the guy's like out in the desert, and he takes a drink of water, and then the plastic bottle or whatever rolls away, and people were putting all the comments about, how can you leave waste like that in the desert? Why don't you pick that up? It's like, you realize this is a music video that they probably did that scene like 10 times, and then they put it in the trash, off camera, and everything else that normally happens. But I don't know. It takes all kinds. As we get close, thank you so much for taking so much extra time. I just realized, gosh, we're getting close to an hour.
No worries.
Okay, no, I really appreciate it. Quickly, if anyone has any questions, get them in there, because I want to make sure that I'm not taking up too much more of Skye's time. What is your, since we talked about content and you've been making content for a long time, what's your take on social media in general? I know that's a big ball of wax, but what's your impression of it nowadays?
I mean, it's really good for putting yourself out there and having people find you. I know most of the people that enjoy my content find it through social media, so it's tough to say. It's like a mixed bag. Like, on one hand, I hate that it's not called like a photo shoot anymore. It's called creating content, because you're just kind of like feeding the machine. There's just so much going on daily that like it becomes redundant, and people aren't putting as much like time or effort into their craft anymore, because they're like, well, it's just going here, so it's no big deal. Why do I need to like overthink it? And it's a little sad to see that everything's just getting so oversaturated. I think, what was it? They said that Instagram is pushing 7-second reels because the average attention span of a human is 10 seconds. I was like, wow, we've gotten this far. Cool.
7 seconds, huh?
A goldfish's memory is 3 seconds. So like, we're getting pretty close. We're riding on thin ice.
Oh my gosh. I know from my side, being on the media side of things, social media has been really great, because I can sometimes reach out directly to somebody, especially during the pandemic, when people were home and they weren't going to their sets and they weren't doing content or what have you, or on tour. But at the same time, and I'm a nobody in Seattle. I mean, I have no illusions about who I am. But even I get messages sometimes from people. I'm like, would you say that to my face if you're actually standing here? Or if it's like, I'm willing to bet you would not say half the things you're saying to me right now. And a lot of times it's just about an interview, or like on YouTube. Like, this will be on YouTube. Someone will put something in there and they'll be like some thing. I'm like, don't you have anything better to do with your time, with your life? Even just for yourself, whatever that is. But yeah.
I definitely think if we had the ability to, like, you have to verify who you are as a person before making an account, that we would have a lot less of that. I feel like anonymity is really like the kicker for some people. They're just like, oh, well, I'm anonymous, so I'm going to say whatever I feel.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I remember, because I'm so old, I remember back when that chat rooms were a thing back in the 90s. And you'd have your avatar, and then you could be whatever your handle is. You make up some name or whatever. And I remember one of the sites I was on, my friend who was up in Canada, she was involved with this other guy online, and she said, can you direct message him? Because my name was very ambiguous. She didn't know if I was male, female, and my avatar didn't really tell you. So I started messaging him, and then he starts like flirting with me and all this kind of stuff, not realizing, it's just like, this is so crazy. And then it just got worse when social media platforms came along. And like you're saying, the whole, who is behind this? Can I actually like see that it's you and it has your name, like your first and last name? And I know that you're the one that said this. Okay, and it's verified, has a blue check by it or something. Oh my gosh. And I see someone's kind of on the same line that we're talking about quickly is it bad when fans message you on social media?
No, not at all. Not if it's respectful. I mean, of course, you're going to have people from like other countries that don't speak English well that are just like, I want to F you. And I'm like, okay, strange. But for the most part, it's normally fine. I never really have a problem with it. I want to say I go through my inbox probably like once or twice a week there, just because like it's fun. It's interesting to me. I love reading like all the weird things, even some of the very off the deep end things. I'm like, that's hilarious. I think the only problems I've ever had is like the in real life ones where people just aren't respectful of like my space or just start asking a lot of me, even though like, for example, I'm coming out of a 2-hour, where are we? I'm coming out of a 2-hour massage and like, you're trying to ask me to go somewhere with you. Like the thing I want to go immediately to is my bed, not the bar with you.
Okay. Have you had any kind of less than favorable experiences, like meeting fans, like at conventions or award shows or anything like that?
Oh, I haven't done a convention in a very long time for that reason exactly. I did like an Exotica in New Jersey once, and it was just a lot of really disrespectful fans. But that was so long ago. It was like 6 years. Apparently now they're a lot better. Fans are way more respectful. And back then, of course, like I wasn't as known as a name. So just random people were coming up and just being like very not polite. I don't have the correct words.
Okay, well that's unfortunate that happened, but it doesn't necessarily. I guess for me, having seen how some people, even like when I was doing a model shoot out in the public area, and just the things that people say to either myself or the model or both, it's kind of like where do you get off saying something like that to someone? And then they just kind of start objectifying and think that I can just say whatever I want to you, or I could try to get into your space. I'm hopefully things like you said, hopefully the convention scene is getting better and the fans are being more respectful. I don't know. I've actually never been to one for the adult side. I've been to like a lot of horror conventions and comic book popular culture. And even there, they have warnings about personal space and not touching people. And because we have Emerald City Comic Con here, which is like the biggest one in North America, they've got those signs all over the place. So hey, just because.
The Comic-Cons and anime expos I've been to have normally been pretty good. It's the porn ones or the adult side where it gets a little convoluted. People get way too excited, which makes sense. Everybody's half naked. But it just could be handled better.
Okay, I think we're back. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be killing my router once we're done with this. I put your official website in the link in the YouTube description. But where else would you like fans to promote yourself? Basically, where else would you like fans to go?
My Instagram is SKYE BLUE hates you with a U, not YOU, because it's my like 7th account. I've been deleted so many times. And then my Twitter is SKYE BLUE wants you with a U at the end as well. You can find all of my content on either the website you provided or onlysky.com. I think that's about it.
Well, it was truly a pleasure talking with you. I really loved how transparent and candid you were with everything, and you got such a nice energy to you. And I would definitely welcome you back at any time if you ever want to come back on and do another one of these down the road. Okay, cool. And thank you for all the fans that came in and were being very respectful. I appreciate that. I'm sure Sky appreciates that too. And I hope you have a great night down there. Try to stay cool if you can for a little while, and maybe I'll get a chance to talk to you down the road.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.